Hello, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Politics on 45 TV. It's your usual host. It's myself, Jude and DRAI. DRAI, how have you been?
I've been good. I'm schooling,
Yeah.
and the academic stress is just taking a bad toll on me. As you can see, I look like how my life is right now, but
Yeah.
I'm surviving.
That's fine. You know, engineering is not for the faint of heart.
Charlie.
Yeah.
It's not easy. There should be a whole day for pampering engineering students and do surviving engineering courses. So some good treats be.
Yeah.
You wow.
Yeah. Is there a new dawn in Ghana now? Or it's early days yet?
It's obvious. It's a mix of the two. It's a new dawn. One can also say it's early days yet. One can also say it's just the euphoria and the mood that characterizes the change of government. Because when you look back at, let's say, somewhere in January 2017, one can liken the feeling and the atmosphere and the mood in the country compared to this one. Because we've transitioned from the then bastardized Mahama regime, and then now Akufo-Addo promised us hope, and then we got a sense of freshness in the atmosphere. Same thing can be said now, but then we don't have to dismiss certain specific characteristics that distinguishes that mood from then to now.
Yeah, it's true. We are in early days yet. It can be the honeymoon season. Some may call it the era of goodwill. But let's not lose sight of the fact that Ghana had sunk to below recognizable levels, and one of the reasons why we come every Saturday to sit on the podcast here on 45 TV, you and I, and then other guests, is to talk about a positive change that we need as a people, as a citizenry, right? We made our voices heard. The viewers also made their voices heard, right? And on 7th December, they went to the polls, and it was overwhelming. It looked as though the entire citizenry were tired of a certain political class, or were tired of a certain trajectory that the country was going on, and they're saying that hacking our voice, and this is what we want, and this is how we want it. It could only be explained in the results we saw on the night, a result that somewhat startled even the
Opposition.
no
Sorry,
the incumbent government.
Yeah.
They haven't seen anything like this. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, I would also say that the opposition was also startled.
They were.
Didn't expect this margin of victory.
They were. Even their, I think their research, their research shows. Yes. If you listen to the Nakomia and whatnot, they said, yeah, we knew we were going to lose, but by some 5 or 6 basis points or whatnot. You know, so it's like a tsunami, an avalanche just hit them, you know. So it brought some sort of awakening to the political class. Like, we cannot take the people for granted, and it cannot be business as usual. And this edition, right, as we discussed before coming on set, we actually termed this edition Mahama the President. Mahama the President, we're gonna take a quick look at Mahama. You know, after winning the elections on 7th January, being sworn in, and then ever since, what he has done. So we just want to take a snap look at Mahama the President. Right.
Yeah, I would just take it from where you left off concerning how the political class has been influenced by the nature of victory that the NDC chalked in the recent election.
Yeah. DRAI, hold on 1 minute. Our viewers, before DRAI gives his submission, we want to entreat you to like, comment, and share. This is the only way our voices can be heard all across the 16 regions in Ghana and beyond, and the diaspora. If you do not share, we are only speaking to ourselves. We entreat you to share. Right? Take it.
So it's very important. We have to and treat our viewers to interact with us through the comment section, and also share the content so that other people can get a feel of what we discuss, particularly persons within the country and also persons who have the countries at heart in the diaspora. But then back to what I was, back to my submission on how the election result has influenced the political class. I think that the NPP did not learn from the 2016 election results, right? Because at the time, never had it happened, at least in my time, that a president or an incumbent president lost election close to over 1 million votes gap, right? That should have communicated something to the then MPP that, see, if we have to take some cues from the failures of the previous administration to retain power as long as possible. Unfortunately, they didn't see that. They got pumped up by the victory and they thought they could have consolidated that, and they thought they had their footings in every corner of the country, only to run the country in a worse way than we even accused the previous administration for. And now they've paid for it. I hope this current NDC regime would also will learn from that victory and know that if they mess up, the citizenry are going to punish them severely. Now, to the specific issues of Mahama the President, yes, from his campaign promises and his 120 days social contract with the Ghanaian citizenship, or the Ghanaian citizenry, or the Ghanaian populace. I think that's the right expression I would use. He's so far he's on the right trajectory. You can say that if he follows through with what he's doing, you can see that there is certainty of certain brighter end, because he promised the country a very lean government in regards to the number of ministries.
Yes, I think he has 58 or 57.
54, I believe.
Ministers and deputy ministers.
I think maybe there are 4 more to go.
Yeah.
And that is a good thing to
Your assessment of the vetting committee.
The vetting committee, I think it's become, I don't call it fanfare, like it's what it is, sort of like, right? The opposition would want to pin the appointees or the nominees against the wall, just to make a case of more like scrutinizing them as much as they could, or as much as they can, from their competency to hold the offices they've been nominated for, and also into their personal life, if they have some ounce of integrity, and if they are really persons they hold themselves to be. For example, the Kudita Blakwa, and I mean his session in particular, and then I think Honorable Sam George's session as well. You could see the heat in the moment, and yeah, it's a good exercise. It's
a good exercise, but I slightly beg to differ, because I at some point I was of the view that it became a platform for settling personal scores, and also to please some paymasters, because like you mentioned, if you look at the Okudzeto Blakwa and Sam George, it was like these guys have been hitting at the previous government so hard. They are like, it's time for us to, make them toe our line. And the ranking member on the Veterans Committee, the venerable lawyer, Afenyo Markins, his people have had things to say about the way he handled the vetting committee, running it as though we were in a secondary school,
Secondary school preparatory award.
Yes.
That reminds me,
giving you documents to read from it.
Exactly.
And it had a feel of a secondary school and a courtroom, as though he was interrogating, or one was in the witness box of the like, So people had mixed feelings and mixed reactions about the ranking member, Afenyo Markins.
I think Afenyo's showboating display really also counted some attention for the vetting process, right?
It did to some
You
extent.
can see that the show he put up during the vetting process contributed to majority of the populace wanting to have interest in the vetting process, and that's a good thing. But then I think everything in its excess obviously is bad.
Yeah.
That is where I would agree with you that Afenyo probably went to extreme in certain cases.
Yeah, but let's look at an instance where the Greater Accra Regional Minister comes in, and everybody in the room is in tandem, including Afenyo saying, "Oh, we know you. We don't have a problem with you. So bye bye."
Yeah.
Is that how vetting is supposed to be conducted? So bye bye.
Yeah, she didn't get any question.
She and some few others.
Exactly. So it tells you that like it's
is it supposed to be a charade or something?
No, that goes to affirm what you said earlier. That it's an opportunity to more like test certain persons who have been nominated through the fire. It's more like they always had the government on their toes when they were in opposition. Certain claims, certain assertions those people made in opposition made the government unpopular, right? So what better opportunity to have to equally undermine these individuals' integrity and also more like caught some public
disaffection?
Not disaffection per se, hostility for them to make the work very difficult for them to start off with. Because if you are going to start off the work and then the public are already skeptical about you and people are cynicistic towards you, it makes it very difficult for you to really get the people's buy-in, for them to rally behind you, for you to do your work effectively. Most of the time, you normally would get these apprehensions when you are maybe some years into your office, and then maybe there's some scandals that come against you, and then those scandals could be the reason why people will now start getting angry at you, and then probably the dislikes start becoming popular. But Afenyo wanted to use the vetting opportunity as the tool to even create that atmosphere for these appointees before they even get into work, to create certain like prejudice in the minds of the people that these people cannot even deliver. They're not who they think they've portrayed themselves to be. So don't really expect so much from them, which is why it worked to some extent. If you look at Honorable Goodluck Abdullah, for example, his issue became a subject of public discussion. That so all this while I were doing interception.
Yeah, I was going to ask, could it not be because of his role in the oral?
Yes, I'm saying this. So if you're doing all this interception, oral, chairman, and all that, and then there is some, let me use the word, I think, opaqueness about the ownership of where you stay, and you can't really be transparent about it, and there are a lot of gray areas around it. You know, all of a sudden, the Honorable's integrity was dragged into the mud. And people who, for once, at some point in time, thought that this guy is without blemish, started having second thoughts. That is the goal I believe Afenyo wanted to achieve.
And that's what he saw.
He got some thoughts.
Yes.
Which is why some ministers didn't matter to him. We want you to leave. You don't have an issue with
the point here is, doesn't that undermine the integrity of the vetting process?
So the vetting process, we have to first of all understand in principle what the vetting process is supposed to achieve, right? If maybe not even with parliamentary standing orders or parliamentary committee mandates, let's even make it a fundamental, more like a first principle thing. That the vetting processes are supposed to evaluate and assess the quality and the competence of a nominee to hold an office. So if we are going by that definition at a very fundamental basis, then we will see that the vetting committee, to some extent, has failed the country or the populace for some appointees just getting a walk in the park at the vetting.
And that is my position, and I guess that would be the position of a lot of.
But then, I think there are mechanisms that exist for the citizens to, at a point in time, tell for themselves that, hey, this person is not good after all. And in fact, even if you go through the vetting process, it has become like a formality, right? I've not known of any nominee whose nomination has not gone through approval. Almost everybody, since I've been actively following politics, once you get nominated for a position, you get approved. So it comes to tell you that the vetting committee in and of itself does not really achieve any goal in terms of, except maybe to settle political scores.
So
or fights.
I'll come back to the mechanisms of the vetting committee and the fact that it's just allows the process. I'll come back to that process, but I want to ask this question: of the 54 appointed so far, what do you make of them? How do you see the appointment so far?
I think for the very popular offices or ministries, i.e., the Foreign Affairs Ministry, it's good. For I think the communication and then I think the information and digital, whatever. Honorable Sam George's office.
Yes.
I don't know a new name. I think it fits the person. Eric Opoku,
agree.
It fits him. Agboja for I think transport or roads, it fits him. So I think what I slightly would disagree on probably would be the sports ministry.
I mean,
Buam. Is it Kofi? Adams, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's Kofi. Adams.
Yes. Kofi Adams. I think he's too lethargic for the sport ministry. Right? I would go with the populace and the people in the sports fraternity.
Right, but let's be mindful that now. What's happened with that ministry is there's a decopulation of youth from the sports.
Yes. But I would say that, like, even still with that, I still would go with the people in the sport fraternity that hold the opinion that it should have been the office for the Honorable Okuvandapoi. Would have manned that office properly, would have fit him properly. And then go into the regional ministerial appointments. I think the guy for Ashanti region,
Frank Amakwahine
is doing an amazing job. Right, he's on the ground, running up and down. It's so nice. Unless no problem gets to his attention, the speed with which he responds to that and his use of social media to communicate and put to the public's knowledge what he's doing is fantastic. Then finance ministry, oh my God, Atoforsen is just fantastic. And then you look at the Greater Accra ministry, Greater Accra regional minister, we didn't get to appreciate the quality she has or the prospective qualities of hers because the vetting committee didn't did us great injustice in that regard. But she has also come out to make some promises that she's going to fix the street lights within the region to 70%. And I mean, images and footages on social media imply that she's on the right course. So these people, at least these ones, we know them, we know what they are doing, and we can say that we can ascribe some positives to the work they are doing. For the other ones, I mean, they are low on their, activities. Maybe they are doing amazing stuff as well, but then they're not projecting them for us to appreciate what they're doing. But I believe that for the most important officers and ministries, I think the president has done a good job by putting by not committing the error of putting round holes in square pegs. He's done very well in that regard. And his CEOs and acting directors for institutions has also been very, top tier. A singular mention to the, Professor Kluchi, who is heading the
EPA.
EPA.
Yeah.
And they didn't know the EPA existed until she came into. I mean, I knew we had an EPA as an institution, but
I'm aware of its existence, and then I think its first CEO at the time, or I think executive secretary, was Kofi Kapito. Yes.
I didn't know
the gentleman came from America, talk about environment a lot, and they gave him the position.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Professor Kluchi came into office. I didn't know the EPA was a functional institution until she came into office, and good job for whatever she's doing. I think Eddie Dutama is doing something amazing
with MPA,
and then Gold Board idea from
yes,
Sami Jemfi.
I was going to ask that you are an engineer, you know, so with the Gold Board and with the mining. In fact, when we started the Stop Galamsey campaign, you were very vociferous about it. So I wanted us to also talk about it, and then explore what this government wants to do in light of that. But I also want to say, do you think there is this sense of satisfaction amongst the youth and amongst Ghanaians at large with the way and manner this government is going about its activities?
For sure. I won't even struggle to respond to this question. It's a big yes, right? Why do I say so? Let me start with on these scores. One, the attitude, right? The posture of the government, right? The previous government was accused of not listening, of being arrogant, of being detached from the people and seeing themselves as overlords over the citizenry. And this government is doing the direct opposite of that. They are showing certain sense of, we are in this together. Your opinions matter in governance, which is why you would see the Honorable Ato Forson engage traders by himself, stepping in the markets to interview them.
Right, I'll let you continue. But you mentioned Honorable Ato Forson twice, so I have to let our viewers know that next week we're going to talk about the budget. We wanted this edition to be Mahama the President. Next week, we're going to look at the budget. We're going to look at all the goodies in the budget. We're going to look at the parts that merit some criticisms. We would give a thorough assessment of the budget next week. But in the meantime, I have to let DRAI continue with
again.
He even engaged Kali J with,
exactly.
on X.
Yeah, these are all signs of we are not the repository of every wisdom there is to lead or to guide people. So we believe that individuals have certain unique reserves of intelligence and wisdom to contribute to leadership. So, which is why you see, especially the youth being engaged, because the youth are the future, right? Which is why you see them being engaged on these matters. Then you would, another instance of that is even the president's language, the body language. Things as petty or things as things are similarly trivial as even the seat the president will sit on at functions counts. And they give the president some score in that regard. Formerly, you see Akufo-Addo having a whole V8 fueled, and its own purpose is to carry a chair. Air conditioned, its own purpose to carry a chair. Now Mahama goes and then sits on ordinary plastic chairs. It communicates a certain sense of perception, which is good and works in favor of the president.
But upon Nkrumah says it's all settings.
It doesn't matter. Let me tell you this. Politics
he was an information minister for 7 years,
and then straight to housing.
Yes.
I'll come to upon Nkrumah later in the conversation.
Later in the conversation.
Yeah. So if you look at things like that, right? Just to quick comment before I continue. Government is a narrative business, right? And you shape perceptions, and this is what I've come to learn, right? Perception is truth. Perception is reality. So if That is why people see on social media, they know you are boss, which of course you are, right? When they see me, they are skeptical. Hey, oh yeah, sure, say nah, Adobe. That kind of thing. So it works in their favor. Look at the president's speech, telling his, communicating the sense of, see, my ministers, I'm not going to shield you. My appointees, I won't shield you. If you fall short of delivering your mandate, you'll be booted out. These kind of messages resonate with the people. That's what the people want to hear. Components of the budget that scrap off certain nuisance taxes. I mean, it's got a resounding reception from the populace. So far, it's been so very good. The presidency, look at how the previous government used the place as destination for job for the boys. Now, the presidential staffers plus persons who have been appointed as directors for special initiative in the office, in the presidency, and the presidency, sorry, are just about 30 people against over some 1,000 people that we had. Let me charitable and say over some 373 or 337 people that were in the previous administration. So, like I said earlier, this regime, the president, his leadership, and whatever he's doing with his appointees and the way they are doing their stuff, right, is sign of us being on the right path, right? If we continue on this path and if the appointees deliver as the president instructs them to, the latest one about giving the appointees and ministers and CEOs KPIs to deliver on, these are massive things. And these are just...
And he issued a stern warning.
Exactly. And this is what the population, the citizens want to hear. Right? If you do things like this, it's you align with their interest, you resonate with what they like. And so, see, except for people who are extremely MPPs, who will not see anything good in this. But for the average intelligent Ghanaian who wants the well-being of the country, would tell you that so far, so very good.
So far, so very good. Before we wrap up, I want us to talk about Ghana Police and what's happening with the security agencies. I am of the view, the considered view, that the IGP DRAI, he did well. He has done well. He, to some extent, changed the face of policing in Ghana. But humans as we are, we do have our faults and whatnot. And I like what the Minister for Government Communications said. You don't need to do anything wrong for the president to change you. And we're talking about security here.
Exactly.
DRAI has worked well with President Mahama. President Mahama, in his wisdom, feels that there need to be some sort of change. Besides, I think that President Mahama did say he was expecting a certain report on the killings. And just in the election.
And even the elections in 2020, 2016, there were some killings in Sudan.
Right.
Of that.
I don't know if that report is ready. He asked the committee be set up, and also a report. He gave a time frame that wasn't ready, but I believe that government will continue. Somebody was there before DRAI, and then somebody has to take over the reins. Your views on it?
I think my views align with yours in the sense that, one, you don't need to do anything bad for a government for it to be changed. Second thing is that it's the police department or the police as an institution. It's a matter of security.
It is.
Right? There are rumors circulating that the NPP avoided, or more like they left their loyalist or someone who was loyal to them in the police force, ignored him and went for DRAI. And then DRAI showed them in the, in the election. He didn't more like bow to their plans to rig the election. Okay. Then, so therefore, the idea is this: how can you trust such a person? Right. So security, or at the core of security, is trust. If you can't trust your bodyguards, you don't employ them in your guard. So it is. I get that sense See, hey, let's put someone that we know we can trust. I think that is the only basis, and that's the only reason why they would change Dampare.
That's the only reason why Dampare will be changed. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Politics on 45 TV. Next week, we're bringing you the budget. See you. Cheers.